all. Welcome to our weekly update here at NC Family for the week of February the 2nd through the 7th. I'm joined by Jerry Royal and Miss Sharon Sullivan, and we are so excited to bring you an update of what's happening here in your state capital this week. Jerry, tell us what's going on in the General Assembly and the Legislative Building. What's been happening this past week?
Well, as always, there's a gradual start.
Yes, sir.
Members are getting settled in. They're having some meetings. As far as committees, there are just a few right now, but we're clearly seeing, they said early on that hurricane relief was top priority, and they're definitely doing that. Again, this week they met on that. I know we shared with you last week, I think there was some frustration still about what happened 6 years ago. And so I think they're, not that they can make things happen, but they're being very intentional about staying on top of what can we do to provide funding to help things move along.
There's certainly an air of organization and structure in the building. We're noticing people coming in and out. You know, as you said, it's kind of loose right now, but we know that there is a path forward, and a lot of things are going to be happening this session. Ms. Sharon, tell us about some of the things that are going to be happening, some of the bills that we're tracking, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, in case you didn't know, and for those who do, just a reminder, we do track every bill that is filed on both the House and Senate side. We try to read through them all, make sure that they are things that we're good with or that we might want to go down and talk to people about. Two this week that were pretty interesting. One was about cell phones in schools during instruction time. There are some legislators that would like to remove the ability for kids to use those devices during instructional time. So that may... I'm sure they're going to have to hammer out some stuff with that.
And that's bipartisan as well.
Yes.
So that's encouraging.
Right. And then also there was a bill filed in the Senate about healthcare costs here in North Carolina. Our healthcare costs, unfortunately, are the worst in the country. We are 50 out of 50.
Wow.
So they're going to be trying to address where they can trim some of that down and streamline it and just make it more affordable, particularly for the state health plan.
There's a lot of nuance in those types of bills, and so we're going to be continually paying attention to that bill specifically and many others as we continually track those bills. Jerry, tell us anything else we need to know about that bill.
Well, it's interesting. Again, there's bipartisan support. You heard, as always, there's some reservations when something comes up in a committee. What does this mean? Because they're talking about if any new mandates are going to come into our healthcare system, things are going to be taken out. I mean, so how do you keep this balance? What they're recognizing, and I think I saw it in this week's news with the state treasurer's office expressing the great concern about the deficit in our health care with our state health plan. So they are being, again, very intentional right up at the beginning of the session. They know this is a critical need that they have to address. Well, they need to address, they are addressing. Yes, and it's some of the top leadership, so it's very encouraging that they're taking some big steps on this.
Yes, sir. There's a lot going on in Raleigh. I'll tell you what, there's a lot going on in D.C. as well. If you have not been paying attention, wow, there's a lot going on. President Trump has signed numerous executive orders. The cabinet is still being put before the Senate. There's a lot going on in Washington. Specifically, there's some really exciting and encouraging news coming from the White House in regard to executive orders. Sharon, tell us about a couple of those. We've told you about a couple of those. More this week. Sharon's going to tell you about those.
Yes. So one we were super excited about is that Trump came through on his campaign promise to protect women's sports.
Yes.
So going back to the Title IX stuff that they were dealing with the previous administration and how that got overturned in the courts. And so now Trump has said that you will not be receiving federal funding at any level if you do not keep women's sports separate. Girls and women have their own sports, their own locker rooms, their own spaces. Yes. And of course, this will also trickle down into other things. I mean, he wants to make sure that the Olympics are addressed with the women and men in women's sports. They also wanted to talk to the NCAA people and other sports organizations. They're asking the state's attorney generals to convene and talk to other institutions within their own state. So there's a push to have not just all the federal stuff, but also for them to move it out into the states. And so it's just really nice to see that the thing that a lot of the people, I think it was 70% of people wanted
Yeah.
women's sports to just be for women and girls. And so it's nice to see that happen up in DC. But it also just shows that he is serious about what he said. And we're so grateful because we know that God created man and women, and that alone, there are two
That's right.
genders. And President Trump came out, I believe it was on Inauguration Day, and said that that was going to be how we are as a country. That is what will be recognized. And then he also went on to sign an executive order protecting children from transgender
Yes.
surgeries. And so, as you know, if you've been following us, we worked on these issues back in 2023. And so it's a joy, really exciting. And we praise God that President Trump has come through on those promises.
So you may be wondering, what does that mean for North Carolina? These executive orders that have come through, and as you know, NC Family, allies of ours, tirelessly have worked to make sure that these types of pieces of legislation have become state law.
Right.
Really, the effect here is mostly for those states that have not yet passed this sort of legislation, speaking into those states some sort of executive order that will help those children who have been harmed by transgenderism and gender dysphoria and confusion, who are being inundated with the messaging that tells them that they are not who God designed them to be,
Right.
male or female, and created in his image. This is to help them. Yes, it helps the people of North Carolina, but we already have that state law thanks to the tireless work of the legislature, the leadership there, but also allies just like NC Family. We're encouraged by those executive orders. Jerry, I think there's going to be a lot more to come.
No, and it is, just as y'all are saying, it's good that North Carolina and some other states had already taken a step, but it's also great to be reinforced, looking out for the health, privacy. And now, and I guess as I'm standing here thinking about it, y'all mentioned other states, especially intercollegiate sports.
Yes.
People are traveling, going, you don't know who's on other teams. Well, this is a way, again, the way I look at it is just what y'all are saying. God is saying, no, this is what's best for everybody's life. This needs to be universal. It needs to be across the country. So as y'all said, praise God that he's making these laws like this part of our national life now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I
Go
just
ahead.
want to add one thing. If you haven't actually seen pictures of the signing
It's
ceremony,
incredible.
it's worth the time to look it up to see. He had athletes like Riley Gaines and young children,
Macy
young little
Petty,
girls.
one of my favorite volleyball players in the world. Macy Petty, a college athlete. I'm so cool.
So it was really just a fun moment, I think, and very touching. So I encourage you to see it.
Yeah, go look at those pictures. Another thing that we let you know about last week, our President John Rustin let you know about a letter that he wrote to the members of our congressional delegation here in the state of North Carolina, both of our senators and all 14 of our congressmen, in regard to full federal recognition of the Lumbee Indian tribe. And that's something that we certainly do not oppose in any way, shape, or form. However, one of our concerns on that is that we want language to expressly prohibit the Lumbee tribe from pursuing or conducting any type of gambling operations here in the state of North Carolina. There has been language in the past in that legislation or in some sort of recognition. However, we're concerned that that language may not be there when this language is reintroduced. There's a bill before the Senate, and the president signed an executive order in some sort of recognition of the Lumbee tribe. But our president, John Rustin, has sent a letter to all the members of our congressional delegation, once again, both of our senators and all 14 of those congressmen, to make sure that they understand we don't oppose full federal recognition. However, we want to make sure that the people of North Carolina, the Lumbee Indian tribe, are protected from the harms of predatory gambling. Jerry, we live in a great state. It's one of the best states in the nation to live and work and raise a family. We want to keep it that way.
Right. Exactly. And that's what our concern is, as we've seen in the last few years, the continued expansion of gambling in North Carolina. And we've been, as you say, on the front lines trying to encourage elected officials, in this case, members of Congress, even though most of our work is focused on the state level, in this case, it's on the federal level because that's where a decision would be made that would impact our state. And in an area that's right on a major interstate, as you say, for years, we've been ranked at the top place to live, to work, to do business. This was before all the expansion of gambling. You have to wonder how much this could end up impacting us if things like this happen. But back to your bottom line too on that, the benefits that would come to the Lumbee
Sure.
in areas like healthcare, education, those are wonderful.
Yeah,
But we
absolutely.
know for them and for the people of North Carolina, more gambling, especially on an interstate, one of the heaviest traveled in the country, this would not
Absolutely.
be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll continue to let you know more as that story develops on the national level, including all the things that are happening right here in the State House. Sharon, our team, our government relations team, does an outstanding job tracking every one of those bills, reading through all of them. We don't kid when we say that. That is sincere. We read through all of them, we meet, we talk about those, and we discuss how we can make the state of North Carolina a great state where God is honored, religious freedom flourishes, families thrive, and life is truly cherished. So for me, Mitch, Sharon, Jerry, and the rest of our team here at North Carolina Family, we are so grateful for your support, for your care of our ministry, our organization, and our work. And we'll continue to bring you the news, the information that you need to know about what's happening in D.C. and in the state of North Carolina here in Raleigh. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you have a great day.